Welcome, dear listeners, to another chilling episode of our scary stories. I am your host, your guide into the world of the strange, the eerie, the unexplainable. Tonight, we venture into the heart of an ancient forest, a place where the line between folklore and reality blurs, a place that whispers of legends best left untold. We'll follow a group of unsuspecting teenagers as they come face to face with a nightmare that lurks in the shadows, a predator born from Native American folklore. Prepare yourselves, listeners, as we delve into the sinister tale of the Skinwalker's prey. Remember, dear listeners, these woods are dark and deep, and within them, terror takes no sleep. On a sultry summer afternoon, the sun cast long shadows as 5 teenagers converged at the crest of a hill overlooking a forgotten forest. Oliver, a slender figure with perpetually ruffled hair, had the map spread out in front of him, his gray eyes darting over the intricate contours and squiggly lines. He was the de facto leader, the calm center of their enthusiastic group. Around him, vibrant chatter filled the air as the rest of the group caught up on lost time. Emily, a girl with cherry red hair and freckles scattered across her nose, was gesticulating wildly, her laughter tinkling like wind chimes. Luna, the dreamer of the group, was gently swaying, her deep brown eyes reflecting the boundless sky. Their mutual friend, Noah, a broad-shouldered jock with a heart of gold, was grinning widely, slapping the back of their taciturn friend, Jared, a dark-haired, introspective boy, his eyes carrying a hint of untold stories. Below them, the forest stretched out like a patchwork quilt, the canopy of leaves creating a mosaic of greens and golds. The air was rich with the scent of pine and wildflowers, blending with the faint smoky aroma of a distant forest fire. The sound of rustling leaves and distant bird calls served as nature's orchestral symphony. Oliver looked up from the map, his gaze taking in the sight of the untouched wilderness. The corners of his lips curled into a smile. "Guys, I think we've found our spot. This is it." His voice echoed in the afternoon air, intertwining with the sounds of the forest. Luna clapped her hands, a bright smile lighting up her face. "I told you, Ollie. I felt it in my bones. This place, it's special." Her voice, almost a whisper, sent shivers down their spines. The forest seemed to pulse with an ancient rhythm, its energy seeping into their veins. As they descended into the forest, the trees closing around them like welcoming arms, there was a sense of stepping into another world. The sunlight danced between the leaves, painting dappled patterns on the forest floor. The cool touch of the undergrowth against their ankles, the chirping of unseen creatures in the verdant thicket, even the sharp, earthy smell of the forest, all stitched together into an experience that was as exhilarating as it was ominous. Yet, as they ventured deeper into the woods, setting up their tents in a clearing surrounded by towering pines, an unsettling sensation crawled into their hearts. The forest, previously welcoming, now seemed to watch them with 1,000 unseen eyes. The wind whispered secrets in a language they couldn't understand. They could taste the wilderness on their tongues, a primal tang that was a mixture of freedom and faint foreboding. Emily, hugging herself, moved closer to Noah, seeking comfort in his reassuring presence. "This place, it feels strange, doesn't it?" Her voice, earlier full of laughter, now carried a tremble. Noah, running a hand through his blonde hair, nodded. "Yeah, but we're here for an adventure, right? Can't have one without a little bit of strange." They chuckled, the sound slightly hollow in the growing twilight. The forest seemed to swallow their laughter, leaving behind a silence that echoed with unsaid words and unvoiced fears. As the shadows deepened, they gathered around a hastily built campfire, their faces illuminated by its flickering glow. Despite the companionship, each of them felt an inexplicable sense of solitude, a tiny prick of fear that they were not alone in this forest. As night draped itself over the forest, they huddled closer, their whispers becoming the heartbeat of the silent woods. In this eerie tranquility, they were blissfully unaware of the ancient secrets the forest held, of the sleeping terror they had unwittingly roused. They were, after all, mere visitors in the hunting ground of the Skinwalker. The stage was set, the game was about to begin. Nightfall settled over the forest like a thick, comforting quilt, pulling shadows tighter around the trees. The only illumination came from the campfire's dancing flames, casting tall, wraith-like shadows that danced on the canvas of their tents. The evening air was chilly, carrying a faint musk of pine and damp soil, a stark contrast to the earlier warmth of the day. The friends gathered closer, their bodies instinctively seeking warmth, as the evening chill permeated their clothes. Emily pulled her jacket tighter around her, the soft rustle of her clothes mingling with the low crackle of the fire. Her green eyes flickered with the firelight, curiosity burning bright. "We should tell stories," Emily suggested, her voice echoing slightly, creating a hushed symphony with the muted whispers of the wind and the rhythmic hum of distant insects. "Proper, creepy campfire stories." She grinned, excitement lending her pale face a slight blush. Around her, the group exchanged glances. Luna, her bohemian skirt pulled up around her knees, looked intrigued, her dark eyes twinkling. "That sounds interesting." Jared, his face half hidden in shadows, nodded. "I agree. Campfire stories are a tradition. Let's do it." Noah chuckled, leaning back against a log, his athletic frame relaxed. "Who's going to kick things off?" Emily's gaze turned towards Oliver, an impish smile on her face. "Ollie, you're good with stories. Get us started." Oliver, a tad surprised, coughed, pushing his glasses up his nose. "All right, I have one. A story that's not just a tale, but part of Native American folklore." He paused, his gaze shifting towards the dark expanse of the forest. A sense of anticipation washed over them, the night air heavy with expectancy. He began to weave a tale of an ancient entity, a being capable of shifting its form, known as a Skinwalker. The words rolled off his tongue, painting a terrifying picture of a creature that could mimic any human it encountered, a relentless hunter in the eternal game of predator and prey. As Oliver described the Skinwalker's haunting, soul-piercing eyes and its insatiable thirst for hunting its victims, an invisible chill crept through their huddled circle. The distant rustle of leaves and the occasional hoot of an owl amplified the eeriness of the tale. Emily, huddled against Luna, felt a cold shiver running down her spine. The shadows around them seemed to move, taking on sinister forms. "That's just a myth, right? Like a scary story to keep kids in check." Oliver shrugged, a mysterious smile playing on his lips. "Who knows, Emily? Myths often come from something real. They're a way to explain what we can't understand." His gaze returned to the campfire, his voice a mere whisper as it drowned into the quiet hum of the forest. Jared's thoughtful voice broke the silence. "That's why they call it the unexplained, right? Because sometimes the world's full of things we can't comprehend." The air around the campfire was filled with a sense of foreboding, their youthful laughter replaced with nervous glances and tense silence. The forest seemed to be closing in on them, the tale of the Skinwalker adding an ominous echo to the night's melody. The line between the thrill of adventure and the fear of the unknown blurred, setting a chilling undertone for the rest of their journey into the heart of the forest. With the first light of dawn, the forest came alive in a chorus of birdsong. Dewdrops glistened on leaves like tiny jewels, and the crisp morning air carried the distinct scent of damp earth and pine needles. A light mist hung low, creating an ethereal landscape bathed in the soft glow of the rising sun. It was a new day, yet the eerie remnants of last night's tale still lingered, weaving an invisible thread of unease among the friends. Noah was the first to wake. His blue eyes squinted against the early light as he pushed out of his tent, the morning chill seeping through his thin t-shirt. As he strolled towards the nearby brook to wash his face, his foot nudged something buried in the soft soil. Leaning down, he discovered a curious footprint, unlike any human or animal he could recognize. It was large, and the toes were elongated, ending in sharp claws that dug deep into the earth. He blinked, a strange feeling of unease washing over him. He shook his head, murmuring, probably just a large bird or something, trying to dismiss the discomfort pricking at the back of his mind. Back at the campsite, Luna was sifting through her backpack when she noticed something strange. Her favorite crystal pendant, which she distinctly remembered tucking away the previous night, was found lying on a tree stump several feet away. Puzzled, she glanced at her companions, but everyone seemed engrossed in their morning rituals. Emily and Jared were huddled over the smoldering campfire, trying to reignite it for breakfast. As Emily went to gather more firewood, she paused, a cold shiver running down her spine. The forest, usually filled with morning calls of birds, seemed eerily quiet, the silence punctuated by occasional whispers of the wind. She had a sense of being watched, an invisible gaze following her every move. When Oliver emerged from his tent, his gray eyes swept over his friends' faces, reading the subtle changes in their expressions. He felt it too, a change in the atmosphere. Their sanctuary was now shrouded in a sense of intrusion, of unknown eyes observing them from the depths of the woods. Jared, feeling the tension in the air, broke the silence. "This place feels different. Odd." not the same as when we arrived. His normally stoic face reflected unease. Their shared sense of discomfort now out in the open, the group fell silent. The cheerful morning seemed to darken a degree, the forest looming a bit more menacingly. The tall pines whispered with the wind, a language only the ancient forest could understand. Shrugging off their concerns, they decided to continue their day, attributing their feelings to Oliver's creepy campfire tale. However, as the day passed, the strange occurrences did not cease. Unseen twigs snapping, peculiar shadows flickering, and the constant sensation of being observed, the once tranquil forest now held a faint echo of dread. While the friends tried to brush off the strange happenings as mere tricks of the mind, deep inside, they knew something wasn't right. Unknowingly, they had stirred the slumbering legend of the forest, and the Skinwalker was awake. As dusk fell, the forest was cloaked in a cool, somber stillness. A chilly breeze whistled through the trees, carrying whispers of secrets held close by the ancient woods. It was the time when day and night hesitated at the horizon, giving birth to an eerie twilight. After a day filled with strange occurrences, the group found solace in their small clearing, the warm glow of the campfire serving as their beacon against the growing darkness. They huddled around the fire, the air filled with an unspoken tension as the flames danced and crackled. In the midst of their strained silence, Luna decided to take a short walk to the nearby brook to clear her head. Leaving her friends with a forced smile, she ventured into the shadowy wilderness, the faint rustling of leaves beneath her feet the only sound in the hushed forest. Moments turned into minutes, and Luna hadn't returned. Her prolonged absence ratcheted up the group's anxiety. Just as Oliver was about to voice his concerns, a figure emerged from the gloomy path leading to the brook. Luna, or at least someone who looked remarkably like Luna, slowly walked towards the campfire. The Luna they knew was always vibrant, her energy filling their surroundings. But the Luna that now joined them seemed different. Her usually bright eyes were glassy, and her face was paler than the moonlit night around them. She sat down by the fire without uttering a word, her gaze distant. Emily, her heart pounding, leaned towards Noah. "Does Luna seem odd to you?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. Noah, his forehead creased in concern, nodded subtly. "Yeah, she seems off, but maybe she's just tired or something." Before they could delve deeper into their suspicions, a frantic rustling came from the same path Luna had returned from. Out of the gloom emerged Luna, the actual Luna. Her face was pale, her breathing heavy. She stood at the edge of the clearing, her gaze landing on her own doppelganger sitting calmly by the fire. Her voice barely a hoarse whisper, she managed to say, "That's not me." Their blood ran cold. Oliver stood up abruptly, the campfire illuminating the fear in his eyes. The others, frozen in their places, stared at the two Lunas, realization dawning upon them. Among them was the creature from their campfire tale, an entity as old as the forest itself. The Skinwalker was no longer a legend told around a fire. It was now a terrifying reality sitting in their midst, mirroring their friend. As they grappled with the revelation, the fire seemed to dim, the encroaching darkness of the forest reflecting their dread. They were in the hunting ground of a Skinwalker, and the hunt had begun. The realization hung heavily in the air, casting a paralyzing shadow over the group. Their faces were a mirror of fear and disbelief, eyes wide and mouths agape. The fire crackled, but its warmth did nothing to quell the ice-cold dread seeping into their bones. Their sanctuary had turned into a hunting ground, and they were the prey. The imposter Luna sat perfectly still, an eerie calm about her that contrasted the turmoil around her. It held Luna's form, but its eyes, black orbs void of her liveliness, betrayed its true nature. No one dared move, each heartbeat pounding like a drum in their ears. The tension was suffocating, choking the night with fear. It was Emily who broke the silence, her voice trembling. What do we do?" Oliver, usually calm and composed, swallowed hard. His eyes never left the creature. "We need to stay together. It's a predator. It wants to divide us." In the midst of the unnerving chaos, a low growl echoed through the clearing. The Skinwalker stood, Luna's friendly features twisted into a predatory grin. In the blink of an eye, it lunged at Noah. Taken by surprise, he barely managed to roll out of the way as the creature swiped at the space he'd occupied a moment ago. A chilling wail ripped through the night, a haunting echo that made their blood run cold. The Skinwalker, its disguise dropped, took on a grotesque form. It was a twisted combination of the creatures it had mimicked before, a nightmare brought to life under the stark moonlight. Panic surged through the group. Emily, tears streaming down her face, clung onto Luna. Jared and Oliver rushed to Noah's side, helping him to his feet. The creature snarled, prowling around the campsite, its eyes burning with a malicious intent. As they huddled closer, their fear was replaced by a primal instinct: survival. The group of friends who had ventured into the forest for a carefree camping trip now faced a horrifying enemy. The fight was on, a fight against a shape-shifting terror they didn't fully understand. But in the heart of the forest, under the cold gaze of the moon, they stood their ground. They were not going to be easy prey. Little did they know this was just the beginning of their nightmare, the first terrifying act in the Skinwalker's gruesome game. As the adrenaline of the initial confrontation ebbed, the friends found themselves stranded in a new reality where the lines of trust were blurred. The entity that hunted them was not a distant threat anymore. It had made its terrifying presence known. They were ensnared in its game, each of them aware they could be the next target. The night was a symphony of nightmares. In every creak of a branch, in every rustle of leaves, they saw the Skinwalker. The whispers of the forest that once seemed like a peaceful lullaby now sounded like sinister murmurs, adding to the growing paranoia. The creature was everywhere and nowhere, hidden in the depths of the shadowy woods, biding its time. The Skinwalker's uncanny ability to mimic any one of them was its deadliest weapon. It sowed the seeds of doubt among the group, turning them against each other. The once close-knit group found themselves questioning each other's actions, scrutinizing every word, every move. Luna, normally the heart of their group, was now seen with wary eyes. Her unwitting likeness to the creature had made her an emblem of their terror. She felt the change acutely, her warm, bohemian spirit dampened by the wall of mistrust erected around her. Emily found herself jumping at every sound, her eyes constantly darting towards Luna. Despite herself, she felt a chasm growing between them, an unspoken fear that her best friend could be the monster. This rift weighed heavily on her heart, the guilt gnawing at her yet the fear too real to ignore. Noah and Jared, who once bantered and laughed together, now regarded each other with suspicion. Every joke, every shared memory had become a potential ploy in their minds. The silent understanding between them was replaced by a tense silence, their bond strained. And Oliver, who usually led with confidence, found himself losing control over the situation. He watched his friends, who were more like family, drifting apart, their unity unraveling under the psychological terror imposed by the Skinwalker. The division was not lost on the creature. It lurked in the periphery, watching, waiting. It reveled in the rising tension, the growing mistrust among the group. As fear turned them against each other, they were weakening, making them easy prey. The hunter watched from the shadows, its terrible game working according to plan. In the heart of the forest, the friends grappled with a two-faced enemy, one that wore the face of a monstrous entity and the other, their own fear. They had to fight the Skinwalker, but to do that, they had to first conquer their doubts, for the real battle was not just against the creature, but against their own crumbling unity. Daybreak in the forest was no longer a symphony of nature's songs, but a stark reminder of the night's terror. The rising sun did little to dispel the shadow of dread that hung over the campsite. Their safe haven was tainted with the chilling presence of the Skinwalker, turning every corner into a possible hiding spot, every echo into a warning signal. The friends sat around the dying embers of their fire, their faces reflecting the grim reality of their predicament. They were dwindling in numbers, their unity torn apart by the unseen enemy. Time was slipping through their fingers, each passing moment bringing the creature closer. In the stifling silence, Emily broke down, her sobs resonating through the clearing. "We're just kids. We shouldn't be dealing with this. We shouldn't." Her words trailed off, her tears mingling with the morning dew on the grass. Luna reached out, gently clasping Emily's hand. Despite the uncertainty looming over her, she mustered a comforting smile. "We'll get through this, Em. We have to." Jared, usually the silent observer, took charge. "Luna's right. We can't just sit here and wait for it to get us. We need to find a way to fight back." Inspired by Jared's determination, Noah suggested, what if we could find something in the Native American folklore? A way to defeat it. That sparked a glimmer of hope. The friends decided to delve into the lore surrounding the Skinwalker. Using the limited resources they had, a couple of books Luna had brought along, and Oliver's sketchy cellular data, they immersed themselves in the ancient tales. They discovered that the Skinwalker was a being of immense power and cunning. It could mimic not only their forms, but their voices too, making it even more deceptive. Defeating it would be a daunting task. However, they also learned that the Skinwalker, for all its power, had weaknesses. It could be fooled by its own game of deception, trapped into revealing its true form. Armed with this knowledge, they devised a plan. As the sun journeyed across the sky, they prepared for the night. They had one advantage: the Skinwalker didn't know they were onto it. As the day faded into another chilling night, they steeled themselves for what was to come. The stage was set for a confrontation that would decide their fate. As they armed themselves with both physical weapons and their newfound knowledge, an unsettling thought hung in the air. Would they be hunters, or would they continue to be the hunted in this deadly game? As darkness swallowed the day, the friends braced themselves for the looming confrontation. They steeled their nerves, the dancing flames of the campfire reflecting in their determined eyes. They were no longer helpless prey. Armed with their newfound knowledge and sharpened resolve, they were ready to fight back. They knew the plan was fraught with danger and uncertainty, but it was their only chance. The idea was simple: to deceive the deceiver. Using themselves as bait, they aimed to force the Skinwalker to reveal its true form, providing them a fleeting window to strike. Emily and Luna were to stick together, making themselves an attractive target for the Skinwalker. They were to feign fear and disunity, hoping to draw the creature out. At the same time, Oliver, Noah, and Jared would keep a vigilant watch from the shadows. As soon as the Skinwalker revealed itself, they would attack, hoping to catch the creature off guard. As Emily and Luna ventured deeper into the forest, their hearts pounded in their chests. Every rustling leaf, every whisper of wind seemed like a lurking threat. But they pressed on, clinging to each other, their show of fear covering their steely determination. Meanwhile, hidden by the cloak of darkness, Oliver, Noah, and Jared watched anxiously, their eyes scanning the dense undergrowth, ears tuned to the eerie quiet of the forest. They held their breaths, anticipation heavy in the cold night air. As the moon reached its zenith, a rustling echoed from the depths of the forest. A figure emerged from the shadows, a second Emily. The sight of her own terrified doppelganger sent a shiver down the real Emily's spine. Beside her, Luna gasped, her grip tightening on Emily's hand. It was happening. The Skinwalker had taken the bait. Hidden in their covert vantage point, Oliver, Noah, and Jared readied themselves. The sight of the creature, even in the form of their friend, filled them with a primal dread. But they stood their ground, hearts pounding in sync with the rhythmic chorus of the forest. The fake Emily approached, her movements uncannily mimicking the real one. But its eyes, void of any human warmth, gave it away. As it came within striking distance, the time to act was upon them. Noah, clutching a sturdy branch, emerged from the shadows. His gaze met the creature's. Enough is enough. This ends now, he roared, charging towards the Skinwalker. His friends followed suit, their fear replaced by a desperate resolve. As the night air filled with the sounds of the imminent clash, the friends didn't know if their plan would work. But they had taken the fight to the Skinwalker, no longer willing to be mere pawns in its deadly game. The battle against the ancient terror was underway, the outcome hanging in the balance in the heart of the haunted forest. The final confrontation was a clash of primal forces, the stillness of the forest shattered by the raw struggle for survival. The Skinwalker, taken aback by the sudden onslaught, faltered, its guise as Emily flickering like a faulty bulb. Noah, a picture of defiance, led the attack. His branch swung through the air, but the Skinwalker dodged, its unnatural agility a testament to its predatory prowess. Its snarl, a chilling echo in the quiet night, sent a shudder down their spines. Jared, his eyes reflecting a grim determination, circled around, looking for an opening. Oliver, his glasses glinting in the moonlight, was ready with a sharp rock, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. They were giving it their all, their fear transformed into an adrenaline-fueled courage. Emily and Luna, their hands clasped tightly, watched the battle unfold from the sidelines. Their hearts pounded in their chests, mirroring the beat of the frantic struggle. Each dodge, each miss, each near hit made them flinch, their breaths held in anticipation. In a sudden, swift movement, the Skinwalker lunged at Noah, toppling him. A gut-wrenching scream filled the air as he grappled with the creature, its claws dangerously close to his throat. Seeing Noah in danger, Jared charged, his shout reverberating through the clearing. In the chaos, Luna made a decision. As the creature was distracted by Jared's attack, she darted out from her hiding place, running towards Noah and the creature. Emily shouted after her, but Luna was determined. She knew what she had to do. With a war cry, Luna lunged at the Skinwalker, driving it off no. As the creature turned towards Luna, it let out a horrifying shriek, its disguise dropping to reveal its true form. It was a grotesque, horrifying beast, a patchwork of various creatures it had mimicked, an abomination against nature itself. This was the moment they had been waiting for. Oliver, seizing the opportunity, rushed forward and thrust his sharp rock into the creature's side. The Skinwalker howled, the sound resonating through the silent woods, a terrifying symphony of pain and rage. The friends, bruised and exhausted, watched as the creature writhed, its form contorting, and then, with one last blood-curdling screech, it fell. The forest, holding its breath till now, let out a sigh. The Skinwalker, the ancient terror, had been defeated. Their victory came with a price. Luna lay a few feet away, her face pale, her breath shallow. She had taken a hit during the fight. As Emily and the others rushed to her side, their relief of surviving mixed with the pang of their sacrifice. They had fought against the Skinwalker and lived to tell the tale, but they were forever scarred by the experience, their innocence lost in the heart of the forest. In the aftermath of the battle, the forest seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. The specter of the Skinwalker had been banished, its reign of terror quelled by a group of resilient teenagers. The once foreboding wilderness seemed to shed its dark cloak, replaced by a sense of peace. Their victory was not without its cost. Luna was wounded, her breath ragged, her face pale under the moonlight. The others huddled around her, their relief overshadowed by concern. Emily, her eyes welling up, held Luna's hand, whispering words of encouragement. The boys, their bodies aching from the fight, hurried to pack up their camp. Time was of the essence. They had to get Luna back to civilization, to a hospital. The thrill of victory was short-lived, replaced by the desperate need to save their friend. They worked together, their movements synchronized like a well-oiled machine. Their unity, once threatened by the Skinwalker's game of deception, had only strengthened. They had survived not just because of their physical strength, but because of their unwavering bond. The journey back to their car was a blur. Each step was fueled by adrenaline, their minds focused on a single goal, to get Luna help. The forest, which had initially seemed like a maze of endless trees and winding paths, guided them back, as if acknowledging their victory. Once back in town, they rushed Luna to the hospital, the blinding city lights a stark contrast to the dim luminescence of the forest. As the hospital staff whisked Luna away, the reality of their ordeal finally sank in. They were survivors, forever bound by their shared encounter with the monstrous entity. The friends, battered and bruised, found solace in their shared silence. Their faces, pale and drawn, bore the weight of their experience. Yet, in their eyes, there was a glimmer of resolve. They had faced an ancient evil and emerged victorious. Days turned into weeks, and Luna's condition improved. Her recovery was slow but steady, a testament to her resilient spirit. Their shared ordeal seemed like a nightmare, the horrors slowly fading but forever etched in their minds. The camping trip, planned as a joyful reunion, had turned into a battle for survival. But they had faced it together, their bonds tested and fortified. They had walked into the hunting grounds of a legendary monster and had emerged not as mere teenagers, but as brave warriors, their story a testament to their courage. As they moved forward, they carried with them the memories of the forest, a haunting reminder of their journey from innocent campers to survivors. They had encountered the Skinwalker and lived to tell the tale. But the forest, with its ancient secrets and haunting legends, would forever remain a part of them, a chapter in their lives written in the heart of the wilderness. From the depths of an ancient forest, we emerge, leaving behind the haunting tale of the Skinwalker's prey. Dear listeners, our journey tonight serves as a chilling reminder of the fine line that separates our world from the realm of the uncanny, the line that our brave teenagers crossed and lived to tell the tale. As we end this episode of Our Scary Stories, remember to hold your loved ones close, for who knows what lurks in the darkness just beyond the glow of our campfires. Until next time, keep your ears open, your hearts brave, and your minds curious. Sleep tight, and don't let the Skinwalkers bite. This is Our Scary Stories signing off for tonight.